not. Maybe. We'll see. EP! What is up? Warner Brothers just shelved the finished superhero movie that cost $90 million. The number one movie at the box office about superheroes' pets. Golf, continuing human rights issues. People are paying attention to football players catching practice. Did I really just screw that up? People are paying attention to football players catching passes in practice. Everything is boring. However, some of the scariest people in security are about to descend upon the desert. And just like that, August is back. My name is Matt Stevenson. For some of you that are here, hopefully by now, you know me from all of the weird stuff that we are doing on PM73 Media, perhaps previously from the Insecurity Podcast, or maybe you've heard me swearing as I walk through the Las Vegas airport while I try to find a bar that's open at an inappropriate hour. If you didn't already, you've got, well, you know what? If you don't know I'm already, then that's on you. You can work harder than this because my man, to my virtual right, Edward Preston, EP, tell the people who you are.
I'm just Matt's sidekick. If you guys don't know who I am, you haven't been here on Friday, so welcome in on this Friday.
What are you talking about? You're the MVP.
Friday.
You're the shortstop that makes it happen.
But man, the shortstop, I like that because, you know, this has been a really tough week. I'm down in the hat, even though I'm feeling the Grays, feeling the Blues. I do bleed Dodger Blue, and we lost a good brother this last Wednesday. The Vinny, the legend, the man, the voice, Vince Scully. R.I.P., brother.
All right. Due to popular demand, we are proud to present the return of reading, not rapping. I will offer you this. Actually, I can't not kind of terribly rap this, so please forgive me. I am not trying to establish any bona fides as an MC, but it's hip. What's hip? When hip is just a norm, because Planets pledge allegiance to the funk in all its forms. The kings, the dance, the prints on all the shirts. My grandmother told mama that it's Africa at work. I'm vibes, we freak, them universal beats. You find it at the spot you hit at ends of every week. We twist, exist to spin the maddest hits. Up hip funk is our neighbor, so we paid her a visit. Now, I am asking you to turn the way back in to 1993. This is where I'm from Digible Planets. One of the greatest hip-hop records of all time, reaching a new reputation of time and space. And yeah, I know. What? We'll get there. But if we're going to go down the path with the Planets, we best offer you someone who is truly, and I know this is awful, this is an EP joke, cool like that. Which is why we are stoked to welcome Scott Scheferman. There he is. All right. Scott operates out of the office of the CTO at Eclypsium. I've never fully understood what his title is. All I know is he's the guy who drops the knowledge and brings the science. He is also the founder of Armanda Intelligence, with over 20 years in the security trenches, with some names that you may have heard of, like Booz Allen Hamilton, maybe Mandy and FireEye, Northrop Grumman, and where we all first came together, Silent. Also, germane to today's show, a legendary EDM producer. I'll let him decide if he wants to let you know what his name is. But if you like cool shit, our guy is your guy. And you can find his music all the places that you want to find music that's worth listening to. Scott, welcome to PM73 on LinkedIn Live.
Woo!
Man, it's good to be here.
Sheffy is in the house, man. I'm so looking forward to this show. I in the green room, I'm like, guys, we don't need no script. Set this thing on fire. Let's go light it up. Scotty Chef.
Who has times for scripts anyway?
Well, you know, somebody has to try to be the rodeo clown in the middle of this stuff. So what you guys are running around, I'm the one who is just being gored by these beasts and be like, you know what, can we got 60 minutes. Anyway, all of that being said. Wow. All right.
Look at this.
Scott.
Cyber juice. It's actually green, but the green screen effect makes it look transparent.
Fiber juice. So you got fiber and protein and caffeine all in one cup?
I'm old with the grays, but I said cyber juice, not fiber juice.
Oh, I was going to say, you got your brand and your fiber in your drink today, I see.
Yes.
I definitely have to dive these before DEFCON.
This is what you can look forward to for the next 55 minutes. It's going to feel a lot like this. Scott, you
trending hashtag fiber juice. Let's go.
Yeah, totally. There it is. That's the new thing trending on Twitter and TikTok right now. On EP's TikTok, make sure to check them out. At Epic starts with EP on TikTok. Scott, you and I've had some fun over the years, and you usually specifically request to go freestyle. And so, referencing what EP said about we don't need a script, you are the only person I know who talks faster than I do. Some notes. So, who may know you, but may not know Eclypsium, let's open with a little bit of that. On the website, it says, and I quote, this is what I like to call reading the internet. A mission to raise strategic awareness for and provide deep insights into the nation's criminal and supply chain cyber threats targeting x86 and network devices below the operating system at the firmware and platform level. That is some esoteric and frankly some scary shit. What are you guys doing?
Some scary shit.
Sorry for the industry jargon.
Yeah.
Remember,
Some important,
last week's guest, Marco
scary
Figueroa, hit 24 on the fuckometer. So, it's okay. Just a little bit of adult language here.
Figueroa, miss you. All right. So, yeah, I mean, like firmware security, right, is the most boring term, two things you could put together. Like you hear those terms and a lot of people just like immediately tune out. They think like 1990s burned in firmware and who cares? It's just a dumb device and we got bigger problems. But freaking nothing could be further from that truth. Like it's in this year, like 2022, heading into this China cyber conflict and worrying about supply chain and all the stuff coming in through legislation and government requirements. That's like the pretext or the geopolitical backdrop. But at a technical level, like the talk this year, for example, at DEFCON will be our guys, Jesse and Mickey, two of the best researchers in this space. Been doing this forever. And they're going to drop a hell of a bomb on DEFCON this year. And it's, one bootloader to rule them all is the name. And it pretty much says it all. And this is a story that's been going on for years, but nobody pays attention to it because it's underneath the surface. That's why my threat report is called Below the Surface, right? It's under the operating system. It's under this whole entire security stack that the three of us have been dealing with for the last 25, 30 years at the OS level and up. It's all the stuff under that. And it's not just the BIOS. It's like everything. Like the average server probably has 12 other operating systems underneath it. 40% of those are probably running Linux. The UEFI, another word for the BIOS, the UEFI, is itself as big as a Linux kernel. Like there's so much code in there. It's got its own network stack. You can play an entire video game in there if you want to. You have all the things any adversary or hacker or geek, nation state, criminal hacker would ever want to do, all there underneath the operating system, and nobody's looking at it. Nobody has been, except for the bad guys. So this year's DEFCON talk should be one that nobody misses. It's I think it's on Friday at noon, track 4, Friday at noon. Be there. It's going to be like one of those standing ovation, holy crap kind of talks.
Chef, you were one of the first guys that actually introduced me to DEFCON. I really didn't know. When my first Black Hat, I didn't even realize that there was this other show at the end of the week. And so you started to enlighten me as to what happens in there. I'm like, how do I get the hall pass to go back behind that velvet rope? Why am I over in this room? That's where the room is. But I like how you said how firmware is kind of, what was the term you used? It's not so sexy, listen, what you just dropped is going to make it really sexy. And Matt and I were talking about like at RSA walking away, like, where's the sexy? Where's the sizzle? Who's going to bring sexy back? JT's not coming into the house this week. I think Deadmau5 is in there, but it's kind of like, who's going to bring something sexy to me? I mean, I know we're in the city of sin. I know we can find it, but when it's in technology, help me. So you are so important what you're doing. Eclypsium. I've known about Eclypsium for the last couple of years. I've worked with you from a partner relationship, and it is exciting as hell. It's got to get out there. And I got the sense that this is the week the Eclypsium and others in your space are going to land, especially with what's happening at DEFCON.
Dude, you just nailed it. Like, it's like I came on board, whatever, maybe a year and a half ago or so I've been here, right? And the stuff we did at Silence, all the consulting, incident response, compromise assessments, doing that for a long time. Like we've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing it like 25 years in the field, like on the other side of the desk, supporting Navy, satellite systems, submarines, Northrop Grumman, Booz Allen, did all of that stuff, all of that jam, like the whole cyber problem thing. And I swear to God, I never knew, not even 90% of what I've learned since I've been here about the threats that exist underneath. And I go back over all these IRs, instant response engagements, and I replay the fact that you contained, you eradicated, you got them out of there, you did a hot wash, root cause analysis, you built your SOC, you got your YAR rules, your identity plan, and boom, and we're never going to get hacked again because they just gave us 10x more money. No, they come right back. And I was trying to figure out, how are they getting back when we stop, we fix the initial vector that they got, and maybe it's a VPN appliance, maybe stolen creds, whatever it is, but they kept coming back. And that's after we were doing, at the time, like really good forensic analysis. Like we were doing analysis of the memory, we're doing all disk analysis, we're doing all the DFIR playbooks that you would do if you had, let's say, a TrickBot infection, right? But TrickBot can go down to the UEFI and implant there. And I'm guaranteeing you, like, nobody else on this call who doesn't work for Eclypsium and a few other places knows that. But they're gonna know that.
Chef, last night I was watching a YouTube on the CEO of a company called Fortress. You and I in the green room were talking a little bit about crypto. This is an NFT company, and I love what he said, because he talked specifically about the parts that are being created for the medical industry. And when I say parts, I'm talking about things that Matt has on his head: screws, nuts, plates. People. Things that people have
right here. It's hard to see them because they've been implanted, but they're really good.
And how the problem is, there's a lot of these parts that are defective, and they're not the real deal. And so there's no way to really track that. And until they actually get into the body, the people have the problem, the doctors don't know, and all hell breaks loose and people can die. So let's take that and pivot over to cybersecurity, firmware. Pivot to cyber. You're great. You got your SaaS. Great. You got your code. I love what you're saying right now. Like, can we talk about the firmware? Can we talk about where it's being created, how it's being created, when it goes from this country to another country and being shipped out to your government facility or your utility?
Yeah.
That's, before the dam breaks, no pun intended. Like, talk
about
about
the
that,
laptop right in front of you right now? How about every single device in your entire home that you're looking at? How about your Soho device that all the worst APTs are riding to stay out of NSA jurisdiction? How about the monitor right in front of you? How about everything has firmware, and the firmware is not some static thing. It's hyper dynamic. It's hyper complex. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's literally okay. If you've got an enterprise with 50,000 devices and you have 50,000, let's say, operating systems like Windows, Linux, and Mac, guess how many real operating systems you have?
But I thought Mac was safe.
Yeah, but take that's not true.
Sorry.
But take the operating system, 50,000 devices. Right? Your answer should be, I got 50,000 operating systems. The truth is, you have 50 operating systems times 10 more sub-operating systems that all are running something we call firmware that is actually something we actually call software. And what do we know about software?
Nothing.
What do we know about software security, right?
It's utterly vulnerable at the most fundamental level.
It's the entire security problem at the end of the day is nothing less than software. And firmware is just software stored differently.
Chef, what's the average number of devices in an operation room right now, firmware related?
Oh, wow. Good
that
question.
Could be hacked.
Like an
average number?
Environment?
Wait. Can I guess? I have a guess and an answer. The average number that can be hacked. Scott, you tell me if I'm right. All of them?
Well, we know that as hackers already, that there's hardly anything that can't be hacked in some way towards some objective with enough time, persistence, creativity, and fun. But yes, all of them. I mean, any modern device especially. I mean, absolutely everything has a firmware update. Your earbuds have a firmware update.
Chef, how many devices at a deadmau5 concert could potentially be hacked?
Boom! The first device would be deadmau5. That helmet is running more tech than my entire studio.
Yeah.
Wait, say that again. Say that again.
Make sure to join us Thursday at Black Hat for the deadmau5 show, co-sponsored by Epiphany Systems. No free ads, by the way.
Oh, damn. Yeah. I'm gonna just do it because we go raw here, right? The first time I saw deadmau5 live was at a small bar called the Circle Bar in San Diego. right around a Turcon event, like Turcon 1 or whatever. I can't remember when it was. Early 2000s. And he had a device up there that all the blinky lights, I forgot the name of it now, and a monitor, and like some folks standing behind him in this raised DJ booth that was circular. We were drinking White Star champagne. We were there with Tiffany Mercer and all the old San Diego Cybercats. We were dancing our butts off, and I kind of like went against the wall to just take a break and like take it all in. And I looked and I could see directionally behind his little plexiglass display area, deadmau5's. And that controller had nothing plugged into it. Now, this is not a story about wireless. This is a story about his whole set. He just hit one button. I mean, I'm ratting him out right now, but a lot of people already know this in the music industry. But like the whole set was pre-composed. He hit one MP3 or whatever it was and stood back and acted like he did all the stuff and, you know, kind of low key, like I'm looking over here and doing the thing over there. And it was just one of those things where I was like, I was both like enlightened because that's true wisdom. And I learned everything you need to know about marketing and blowing up and doing all the social media and wearing the helmet and all that stuff in like one split second.
Okay. Shout out to EP for getting the ratting him out joke before I did on the deadmau5 thing. That's usually that's kind of my thing. Good job by you. We got a good question from returning listener Dave in a car phone in Kentucky. He's going to hang up and listen when we're talking about and we're going to trust me. We're going to get back to deadmau5. We're just, the hardest thing in the world to do is to apply structure to an interview with Scott Scheferman, but we're going to get to that. But Dave in a car phone in Kentucky is asking, how do we get people to approach the foundational items like firmware and BIOS without them having to be sexy? And you've lived in this world. We all rode that AI wave that now has become the norm, which is why we opened with that whole thing about what's hip when hip has become the norm. Is the groundbreaking now just the norm? So people are like, oh, BIOS. You're like, wait,
no. I mean, honestly, that question keeps me up every single night. Like, that's my job, is to answer that question. It's a brilliant question. Here's the thing. Like, okay, let's say firmware's not sexy now. Why should I care? Right? It's not like, oh, you got to do zero trust. Here, where's your initiative? Well, actually, let's just talk about zero trust. I just pivoted so fast I didn't even finish my thought. But that's okay.
Shocking.
No, it's good. I like
Scott.
No, but
Scott moved
like
that
this.
quickly. I can't imagine.
Like,
I stay with it because I got a question on it. So stay with it.
Okay. I'll stay with it. Thank you, Ed, for reeling me in like you.
Don't call me Ed. I'm charging you $5 for that. God, go.
All right, Edward.
Wait, is that the thing this week? It's the Edometer as opposed to the fuckometer? How many times?
Yeah, fuckometer and Edometer. Yeah.
All right, Ed.
Wait, that's like.
All right, let's talk. Speaking of Ed, let's get some education going here. Firmware is this thing that is not sexy. Okay, we made that assumption. Why should I care? Well, like we said, all the devices are running it, and they're running all sorts of flavors of it, and it's all accessible often over the network, and it's software, and it's vulnerable, and it leads to remote code execution. It leads to being able to embed underneath the operating system indefinitely without AV or EDR ever catching onto it. It's got its own network stack. It can do espionage like that. It doesn't log to the kernel. Good luck, EDR. Like, there's 1,000 freaking technical geek reasons that we can hack around and talk about. But the real reason is because the threat landscape itself is completely pivoted over to hitting devices. It's like it's 1999 through 2004 again. Like, it's even before all the AppSec stuff in the mid 2000s, right? It's like the early 2000s when you're like, I'm going to hack the planet. What do I need to do? Well, own the router, own the load balancer, own the firewall. You own it all because you're in the middle. You're sitting on a security control itself, like a VPN device, right? Pick a vendor that makes a VPN appliance. Somebody throw one out there between either of you. Give me a name.
Dave in a car phone. Dave in Southern California also. Throw some of these things out here. We need you guys to throw these things in here.
What's the question?
F5 or Cisco or Citrix
networks.
ANC.
Yeah, I got you.
These VPN appliances, right? Fortinet. They're all coming out with these massive remote code execution flaws that are facing the public internet, right? And when an attacker can go from any IP address on planet Earth, hit that one, exploit the device that itself is a security control meant to provide authentication of users and encrypted tunneling and traffic, right? You're popping that box, and it's basically just running Linux. And when you have a Linux box that faces in and out, and you're in the middle, you can do all the things. you can do so many better things than if you're an attacker that says, I'm going to spearfish somebody, get him to click an ISO image or a Word doc and a macro. And then guess what's going to happen? Well, guess what, guys? All the tech that you and I have been privy to the last 3 or 4 years in endpoint space, like AV, EDR, XDR, all the Rs, all those things are not going to see this attack because it goes through your device. There's no living off the land needed in terms of Windows vulnerabilities and components and PowerShell and all that. You don't even need Cobalt Strike. You just get the VPN appliance. You look around the network on the other side of the other interface, internal side. You find a vulnerability in Windows box and pop that. And guess what? I've seen a video of Mickey doing this, our Mickey at Eclypsium, and he recorded the video and he's like, here's a demonstration. And I looked at the video. I'm like, dude, this is the wrong file. It's only 60 seconds long.
What?
And he's like, yeah, no, that's it. Hit play. And I hit play, and this guy, he fires at Metasploit. He hits a Pulse Secure box. Now, Pulse Secure, for those who don't know, is like a big, heavy box. It's really, really expensive that a lot of really big, important organizations have across the entire planet, right? And he hits the box from the internet, if you will. Pops the remote code execution flaw from whatever, probably 2019, the 11510 CVE. Very common. All the threat actors you all read about, Russia, China, all of them have hit this in the wild already. Now he's got a shell. Now from there, he just scans the local net. He finds a Windows box. He finds an MS whatever vulnerability, pops the box, and he's literally on the Windows box. He reverses the shell back through the VPN. It goes back out to the internet C2, and you have this entire hack taking place where you can pop the AD, drop ransomware, do all the bad things, and nothing's been logged. And oh, by the way, you have all the creds from all the VPN appliances. So now even if you burn that shell and you burn your own persistence, you've got all the creds to log in like a normal user.
Wow.
And you've reconfigured the box too. You can do
and he's doing this, and he's doing this in a matter of minutes. It's not taking him hours. Chef, why isn't there just kind of winding it back to you drinking that bottle at the beginning? For any drink, any food, there has to be what is it, the USDA? You have to get it passed. Any drug, you have to get it passed through a federal government. Why isn't there like a universal standard? God, I don't want it to be, and I don't want it to be federal regulated.
Wow, are you really advocating for more?
I don't want that.
Legislation and regulation.
But no, I'm not. I'm not.
I want that badly.
Well, yeah, but hold on. I came to this industry because I came out of the finance one that was effed because of the regulation. Frank Dodd, 2008.
Does that not count? We can't put that's the F-ometer. That doesn't. It doesn't make it.
Yeah, that's a different F. So
shout out Marco
Chef,
Figueroa.
why? Chef, what are you doing? And remind me of your CEO. I can't remember the guy's name. Yuri. Is Yuri and yourself and others out there, is there a motion? Is there some kind of a mission like this conglomerate team that's trying to create some type of universal standard to prevent that you're talking about? That because it just seems like, damn, underneath everything, it's like made in China. I mean, come on, man. Why isn't somebody like really trying to shut this down?
Hey, it's not just China. It could be Malaysia. It could be North Korea.
Well, made in China is a very, very generic term. Everything's made in China. You know what I'm saying by that? China, there's hacks. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so like Dan Farmer, a lot of people know his name. If you think back like probably 12, 13, maybe 15 years now, it's been a long time. But one of his DEFCON talks I'll never forget. And it's when I personally learned what a BMC is, a baseboard management controller, right? It's that thing on let's say a server that allows you to manage the box, even if it's powered off or whatever, the Windows operating system isn't turned on, but you want to be able to push an update or manage the box or update the firmware or whatever else you need to do. You can do this via the baseboard management controller over the IPMI protocol. Very common in, let's say, a large homogeneous data center or cloud environment, right? Okay, so now that we know these things exist and they talk on the network over this thing called IPMI, are they vulnerable? And the talk that Dan gave, I won't remember all the details. It's been a decade plus, but he went through the manufacturers that make all the BIOSes, right? And they're all from Taiwan at the time. They largely still are, right? And the vulnerabilities in BMCs are ridiculous. They're like, one of them you sent like 29 alpha characters to it, and it would spit back to you its admin name and password. That's like an ILO vulnerability from back in the day. Almost all of them have default username and passwords. Almost all of them are running really, really vulnerable web code, like basic 1999 hacking easy to hack web code problems, right? Like, and this is, if you own a baseball, I'll tell you a short story. You want to hear a short story?
Yes, please.
Yeah, if it's any story from Uncle Chef.
I love Shaggy
All right.
stories. Are you kidding me? I have
Shaggy
no
stories.
idea. Whatever he's about to say, I have no idea what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, no, I mean, like, this is just a quick little story of two pen testers, right? They got a job to pen test a data center that had 25,000 servers in it, devices, right? Servers. And so
Only
they started out doing
25,000.
what you do. You, like, we know this process, right? Like Stuart McClure, a friend, kind of wrote the book on the process of hacking. So you enumerate, you do the whole thing, you find out the IP addresses the company owns, and you hit those and scan those. They did that. And they found a SQL server facing the internet. And what do you do as a hacker? You freaking pop the SQL server. It's super dumb easy half the time. And what do you do when you pop that? Maybe you get a shell back. They did. And now you've got a shell. And we all laugh about this at DEF CON. Like, you know, you can tell Script Kiddie, they finally get a shell. They freak out and go to the bathroom. They come back and like, now what? Right? But anyway, so you get the shell. And what are you going to do? You're on a device in a data center, right? You're on a SQL database, right? Maybe it's in a DMZ, maybe it's in some part of the production environment with hosts around it. So instead of them like dropping into Windows land, they dropped down to find a BMC, a baseboard management control that was open. They popped that. And when they popped that with these dumb vulnerabilities I just talked about that you probably took 5 seconds to Google and exploit, now they're underneath this server. And from there, they have another network interface to work from. And from there, they found 12 other BMCs. And they popped a few of those, and they found 13 more. Before you knew it, guess what? They popped 25,000 servers and all the backup instances, the whole damn thing, without ever living off the Windows land, going up there, worrying about malware, any of it. Can you imagine being the CISO?
Wait. I know this is going to be literally the physically most difficult thing for you to do. Can you talk more slowly? We're getting some shouts from the audience that are saying, wait, say that again.
Yeah.
Say that again. Shout out to Algeria. Abdelghani, I hope that I pronounced that right. Great to see you here. You, Scott, this is one of the things. It is the constant wrestling match with you. Your energy, your excitement to bring this stuff. You move so fast. You are the only person who talks faster than EP, who is the only person that talks faster than me. So we can.
Chef, do you know what all three, Matt? Do you guys know what all three of us have in common? Besides the fact that we all have. I don't know.
I love the Dodgers. I have a Dodger story too, but yeah.
All three of us have shared a stage at one Black Hat at one particular time at Silence back in the day. That's pretty cool. So, Chef, back in 1617, you and I did share a stage.
Wait,
at
in
Black
the year
Hat.
1617,
2016,
the
glory years.
And listen, man, you and I were the prophets of prevention over detection at that time. And you mentioned zero trust a little while ago. And because I remember then a couple years later, zero trust was like rifling through the room. And I'll never forget this. You were like seething. You just didn't, it was like a jacket. It was like somebody made you take off your infamous gray and black little, you got that cool suede jacket. It's not even suede. I don't even know what the hell it is. Maybe it's ostrich feathers. You had to put this other jacket on. You had to put this other jacket on that had zero trust on it, and zero trust was kind of a new thing. And you were like, nope, not having it. Nobody knows what it was a way that people were presenting it. What is happening this year? Tie in now. Here we are a few years later. What's going to be the terminology, the buzzwords that's going to be piping from your lungs and what you think you're going to be hearing at probably more at DEF CON than Black Hat? But give me some of that early language because, dude, we are T-minus days away. Matt and I are hype. We got so much stuff going on. For those of you guys that are going, reach out to all three of us because all three of us won't be there. So what is it? Like, give us a little bit of a prelude.
All right, so I'll be on a stage doing a little ad hoc thing, mic drop thing. They like, where are your slides? I'm like, I don't have slides. Get out of here. I'm gonna do like you and I did. And honestly, let's be honest. You taught me how to do this. Walk out in the audience, grab their hands, pull them up on the stage, get their name. Like it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be crazy. All right, so that's gonna happen. On the zero trust thing, right? Like I've been doing the DoD thing for like 17 years. So like zero trust is like it's been around. I had a podcast with John Kinderberg earlier, founder of Zero Trust. And I asked him the question. I was like,
oh, wait,
where's firmware in Zero Trust?
Hold on. Let me pick up that name you just dropped right there. Like, it's just, yeah, okay.
John K. And I never say his name fully right. I think it's Kinderberg. So I apologize for butchering it, John, if you're listening. But I asked him, like, where's firmware in this? He goes, oh, don't do a Control F for firmware. You're not going to find much, because that's not what it's called in the context of Zero Trust. It is in there, like, in no uncertain terms. It's in there when it comes to platform IT. Okay, and here's why. Like, I read the DISA guidance on Zero Trust, and he actually co-authored a large percentage of that, right? So it's mostly his thoughts in diction and flow and organization. And if you step back and you ask yourself, like, what is the premise of Zero Trust? The industry motto is trust but verify, right? Is that right? No, you're nodding your head. I caught you. It's actually not. It's verify, then trust. Okay? Verify. So it's not like you interact with humans. When you learn to trust somebody, you got to extend some trust, and then you get some back. No, this is machines. And the only way to trust a machine is to verify it first. And you got to do that in Zero Trust before every transaction that ever happens in a perfect Zero Trust world that nobody will ever reach. It's a North Star. Everybody gets it. Take a breath, right? So when it comes to firmware, and you're asking yourself, what is trust when it comes to a machine or a device or a peripheral, whatever? Trust starts with a root. Ever heard of the root of trust in cybersecurity? It starts at the firmware. When you boot up Windows during secure boot, it looks at signed, whether the code is signed or not, right? That's, and secure boot came about. Microsoft had to come up with that because there's all these BIOS boot kits before 2010 or whatever, right? They're coming out 2008. So the genesis of trust for all of compute, everything we do with AI, everything we do in the hospital ed with medical, everything we do with critical infrastructure, everything we do in every production line in the entire world, every single industry, all the mountains of code, all the cloud infrastructure that we've sent everything to, all the third parties that we trust as MSSPs, all of that has one root of trust. That's secure boot.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And it happens.
That's the name of your book. This is going to be your book, Genesis of Trust by Shaggy.
And when you don't have that, everything else you might try to do towards reaching Zero Trust is a farce. You're totally kidding yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen,
and
I think
we do it every day as users even.
I think we just saw what Chef's going to be doing live at the stage Wednesday down in the Mandalay. And I love it. Because honestly, dude, I will stop by and hype the crowd to get that crowd over
let's
to
do
you.
It together, man.
Let's hell yeah.
Let's do it together.
Yes, I'm doing it.
I mean, so there's so much to talk through. I mean, we don't have to stay on this topic, but man, there's so many really important rabbit holes to go down. We're trying to crack this open, right? Like, we're gonna crack it open. We're just getting warmed up. Trust me.
we got 27 minutes left for today, but that's what it's like. EP, remember when we wrote this outline and Chef was like, fuck that. We're just gonna, just turn me loose. Just hit play. It's going, yeah, okay. And that's me. I'm number one on the fuckometer today. It's not the guest. So okay, here we go. Man. All right.
Music.
Yeah. Let's pick what we want to do next. Like I said, we got 27 minutes. We got to finish shameless plugs and leadership corner. But we are about to roll into Hacker Summer Camp. It is hopefully the return of legit Black Hat. Last year was a bit of a mess. It is DEFCON. B-Sides is back. Shout out to Steve Reagan. Shout out to Banshee and everybody else that's making that happen. So awesome. Shaggy, what's on your mind for Vegas next week?
You said Banshee, that made my heart melt. She's one of my oldest and dearest friends in the community.
Right? And shout out Banshee.
Well, right? Like,
Banshee.
Yeah, so that's always the biggest, scariest hug. We'll be like day 2 or whatever, Friday, and we haven't seen each other yet, and then like see each other from like 300 yards, and we start running, and then there's this hug that happens.
It's totally that. You just get tackled out of nowhere.
Chef, can you really see somebody from 300 yards? Which gunners do you have to put on for that? Let's put on let's put these on for that. Oh, you got the blue ones, dude. I need those. I need those. I gotta call my guy.
Scott can see people from 3,000 yards. Banshee can see people from 10,000 yards, and she is all like sharp angles, elbows, and shoulders. Not only is she tackling you, but you're getting punctured by her when she is like knocking you over.
Yeah, it's just really, really strong, man. In early DEF CON days, for those that weren't there and whatever, DEF CON like 7 or 8 era was extremely wild. And I mean, I've seen her like put somebody over her shoulder and carry them out. I've seen her take people down. I've seen her actually take two guys down effectively when she needed to, because it used to get actually physical and actually rowdy and actually way out of place. And you know, being a goon, one of the best, like she just took care of business. But yeah, she's. What I mean, we could have a whole show about Banshee, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. She'll never come on the show. There's no way. And if she does, she's going to be like behind a curtain with, you know, the black bag overhead and the whole thing.
Is there going to be is there going to be a celebrity? I mean, Vanna White. Is there a Hacker Jeopardy this year? It's got to be 30th year. She used to be Vanna White. That was awesome.
Audience,
go ahead.
Come to Vegas, find out. That's the only way. We're not going to tell you. But you've been doing this forever. You have been doing it as an industry expert. You have done it as a presenter, but you have also produced the late night shows. So I can just cue you up, and EP and I will get out of your way if you want to regale us with tales of DEF CON's past, things that you're looking forward to, what we're coming up. You've already talked about the presentation that's going to be happening, but this is a big deal. Like we're coming back, man. Like, I mean, this is the people that make this thing that we all do work. We're all coming back. We get to get back together. How meaningful is that?
Yeah. So if you were there like last year, it was awesome. It almost felt like you went back 15 years in time, and only the true heads were there and your best friends, and you could find people, and it was chill and like low key. And honestly, I feel like that was like a good calm before this storm. It was like a warm up replay to kind of get you in that headspace you're just describing, where the event needs to be less like this year, especially way less about industry, way more about people, you know, way less about exploits and this or that. You know, as great as this talk's going to be on Secure Boot, that's not what DEF CON's going to be about this year, right? This year is sentimental, it's retrospective, but what it's really going to be are all the hallway conversations that both look pastward in the past to solve for the future. And when I say solve for it, I mean, we're solving at layers and in ways and at intersections of technology and culture that we've never had to solve for before as hackers, not industry, right? We're looking at all these disinformation campaigns, artificial intelligence. There's the medical device field integrating with those two and that subsection. Like there's so many things going on that we need to solve for, because guess what? If there's one thing I would describe DEF CON to other people that don't know anything about any of this, it's that they are always between 3 and 10 or 15 years ahead of the entire rest of the technology industry. And the conversations you hear there are the ones that literally be like, okay, here's a short story. DEF CON 7 or 8, I'll get it wrong, one of those 2 years, Richard Lindbergh and I went, Skippy, for those that know him by Skippy, went to one of those many room parties at the Alexis Park, a small room party. And in there was like Forrest and HD and all the old cats. And guess what they were talking about? They're talking about like this idea that red teamers could come up with like this framework where you could like plug into, and I could write my exploit, but I didn't have to code all this other bullshit. So that we could do our red team job faster and better and be more productive when you're starved for people with skills. Right? They wanted to be able to up level all of us to do the damn thing, to prove to the organization that they're super vulnerable, and to do that for less money. I mean, this was part of the conversation. It wasn't all just geek, let's break out Ruby on Rails. This became Metasploit. And it was so good after like an hour that Skippy and I went out there. We got like a stack of Domino's pizzas, a bunch of Red Bulls, and brought them back in to fuel that room. And I was absolutely the dumbest guy in that room. I remained the dumbest guy in that room. And it was a really humbling experience because I watched the genesis of Metasploit. And dude, that was like coded up and coddled up by like Sunday afternoon when we started on like Friday.
The Skippy and Shaggy moment. Hey, talk to us about
Well, hold on. you just Scott, you just said something that I have. It's something I've espoused for a while. Being the dumbest guy in the room, and especially when you get to an event like B-Sides and DEFCON, these are the people that don't want to go to RSA. They don't want to go to Black Hat.
Oh, Matt just paused. He was. Oh wait, he's thinking. He's still thinking. He's still thinking. And while he's thinking, we'll give.
I know what he's thinking. I'll just finish
because he did. Well, he did say he's the dumbest guy in the room. So maybe he's the slowest guy in the room. I love you, Matt.
Now Chef, we know why we have two hosts.
Chef, talk about the pace, dude. The pace, and I'm not talking about Tom Pace. We love you, Tom. I'm talking about the. I'm talking about the.
Coming in hot.
I'm talking about the pace of the week. Like when you drop in, maybe you're dropping in on a Monday because you're going to some of the train. Hell, maybe you're dropping in on Saturday, Sunday. How do you pace yourself? Because look, for me, by Friday, my voice is shot. Yeah. I'm tired of smelling bad breath. I'm tired of eating mints, and I go home. I have a family. It's going home. I'm chilling. But I know a lot of people say you're staying for DEFCON, right? And I usually don't. So how do you pace yourself to be able to get through it and be able to have the gas? Because I think if I could use an analogy, tell me if I'm wrong. Black Hat is the club. You're walking in, you're seeing all your friends, you're meeting new people. There's a lot of noise, but then there's a VIP up there that's 2 stairways deep. It's like a speakeasy around the corner, and it's like, come here, this is DEFCON. We're gonna talk over here. Am I right?
Well, the DEFCON is ultimately boils down to parties and room suites in hallways. I mean, if it takes place somewhere, it's in a hotel hallway on some floor, and it's happenstance and all that together is one. To answer your question, how you pace yourself, it's no joke, straight up. You got to be super healthy. You got to drink lots of water.
Yeah.
You actually do have to sleep for like 3 or 4 hours in the afternoon. Okay. You sleep from or the early morning, from like 9 until like noon, sleep. Okay. Then go get a sushi roll and have sushi con. Okay. And then after that, you got to take nootropics. You have to drink caffeine, and you have to be your best mental self, and you have to stay like, you don't pace yourself, Ed. You go all the way till you break, and then now you're ready for DEFCON, because now you're in a space mentally where you're ready to hack. And every year at DEFCON, I've only done it like 25 years. There's some people going to DEFCON 1, right? Every year, there's always one experience that any individual has that goes there, where they find that moment where they're actually in the zone, where they're actually hacking. And when I say hacking, I don't mean breaking shit into shit. I mean, literally in the zone where they're faced with a problem, they don't know the way through. And the only way through is through iterations, or through persistence, or through creativity, or through social networking, or through some form of process. And there's no wrong process to move past one boundary so you can get to the next behind it. It's like opening subsequent doors. And you don't have to know anything. You don't even have to know how to code. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to have an IT background. You don't even have to know anything. You can show up as, I don't know, a surf instructor.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. And welcome back, Matt.
Yeah, thank you. Courtesy of, let me add one to the fuckometer for Restream. Just assume what I'm about to say right there. Also to Spectrum and Charter Internet Service in Florida in August. You guys, while I was blacked out of the internet, may have addressed the notion of being the dumbest person in the room. But something, Scott, that I want to ask you about your experience and with B-Sides. One of the great things for those of you that are, if you're not familiar with B-Sides, or if you don't know the name, what it means, it's the idea of the B-side of the single. When Another One Bites the Dust dropped, that was the biggest selling record in the world for like 15 years. The B-side was a song called Suicide is Dangerous. Or no, Don't Try Suicide, sorry. But that's the first B-side that ever stuck in my mind. And that was the impetus for that. So Scott, when you look at these types of events and not having to be coming into these things as having this alphabet soup of certifications after your name, but somebody who just wants to get into the industry. When you look around and you see these people who maybe don't know, like, what are your thoughts? It's like, how do you reach out and realize, oh my God, this person over here is a nurse. This person over here might have been, like a grocery store worker, but they're like, they dig this and they have thoughts. Like, how valuable is that to our industry, especially given that we're now at 4 million empty seats in our
You hit on
industry?
something, dude. I have chills right now. All right, so I'm gonna try to be gentle and I'm not gonna try to go fast. But this will hit hard, I promise you. All right, there is something at DEFCON that is very unique, which is the ability for anyone with humility to ask anyone else any question. We call them dumb questions, but they're the most brilliant questions in the world. I'll even fucking get emotional, right? Because that's how I came up. That's how we all came up. But
love your passion, brother. That's why I love you, man. Yeah, no,
it's one of the things that hits you, dude.
Hey, Matt is Oprah Winfrey of podcasts.
Yeah.
He does this to people.
You don't think Scott's serious right now? How about that?
Yeah.
So here's the thing, like, the power of the hacking community has always will be our diversity. And I don't mean whatever the normal context of diversity in the employment workspace, although it's also that. But it's also the diversity of thought and culture and experience and pain. And you end up in life solving those problems that have caused you pain. And you end up in life even better, helping other people solve those problems when they've gone through that pain. And when it comes to hacking, man, there's a lot of enlightenment that can come when you learn to hack in a community, because it gives you skills. And they're not in a book. Yeah. They're not written down.
Yeah.
Well,
this stuff right now, hold on real quick. There's a lot of people watching this.
That's the thing. These are people that meet at these shows and become forget best friends. Best friends is easy.
Yeah.
This is something that you may never physically see these people again, but you will be in contact with them all day, every day, in whatever your means of communication are. And you help each other. You work through these things because you have found this kind of bond. And this is not Pollyanna bullshit here. I mean, this is a real thing that is happening. But also, by the way, as a side result of getting humanity together, we're fixing things that prevent, like, wars.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's hyperbole to say that.
I'm gonna go hard here real quick. Now
you're gonna go hard, as opposed to
now I'm warmed up, man. Now I'm warmed up. All right, so I'm gonna put on the blue glasses. Okay, I have a plea, and I think that's the best word. I'm begging the community this year on our 30th anniversary to cut the bullshit and focus again on what I know all of you know, which is that we are hackers first. We are united, regardless of our politics, regardless of how much we might hate some other side of something in society or politics or religion. We are together as one. And if we don't restore that, I have to say restore. I wanted to say protect, but it's being broken. And we have to have the discipline to put our own personal bullshit aside and focus on solving problems together for you know who? I'm going to show you who. My daughter painted this.
Oh.
She's 7. You can't see it. Whatever.
Yeah, I can see it.
No, bring it back.
That's for who? All right. You got to do this for our children.
Yeah.
Because when they come up in a world full of AI and everything abstracted to the 8th layer, they're not going to understand what we know unless we find ways to fix serious problems. We talked about firmware. That's only one of 100 problems we got to solve, right? We're not going to solve it if we keep miring ourselves in all of the bullshit the last 10 years. Now, I'm not saying bullshit because I'm minimizing really important topics and divisions of thought and philosophy and religions and politics. Those are quintessentially important in our society right now, no doubt about it. But I say what I'm saying is, like, you have to put that aside if your objective is to solve bigger problems than yourself. nobody might like hearing that. I might have a lot of hate right now, and you know what? I don't care, because I know what I know, and I know the power of this community to move the needle and get ahead of threats, get ahead of governments, get ahead of all sorts of problems that's going to cause our kids all sorts of pain unless we get on with it, because nobody else will. It's only this community this year.
You know, Chef, you have so much knowledge. You've been in the game for so long. It's obvious that your passion comes through. I know that there's a lot of people that are going to watch and listen to this show that are going to be inspired. There's a lot of people that want to get into this industry. There's a lot of people that are in this industry trying to find their next and what their next venture is going to be. For me, you know, I'm going to tie this back because you just shared your daughter. I was talking to my daughter yesterday with her two cousins, and the two cousins didn't know I was in cybersecurity, and they were very intrigued. And I was talking about the rewarding factor that's involved, the rewarding part of it, how I'm helping companies, how I'm helping people. I hope that we can get 3 slices at this year's shows next week of it being about the people. Like, bring it back. It's about the people, the genesis of what you were talking about. I had no idea we were going to talk about off the script. Love this. Love your passion. And I hope people that are like, wow, this is like a real serious show. No, this is not a real serious show. This is a really great show that Matt's put together.
Show I'll have you had. Last week, somebody said fuck 24 times. That's how serious this show is. And today, somebody cried twice.
Yeah.
Love you, brother. It's awesome.
Man, you guys are the best. Awesome. Matt, we've been doing this. Yeah, I saw Dave's chat. We have to stay mission focused. Can I just say that word's near and dear to me, like supporting what we called the warfighter for 17 years during global war on terror and everything else. Doing the cyber for like DoD mission is certainly one thing. But I think what Dave means by the mission is like, you have, if you're part of a mission, you have to put the mission first. It's true in DoD. It's true in life. If your mission is your kid, I'm not going to get emotional third time, but I fail all the time at putting that first, right? So it's very easy to like not be able to see the forest through the trees when you get so bogged down with the fact that all we do all day is absorb information and analyze it, but very rarely do we step back and synthesize and form something and form a plan that we want to manifest for ourselves as individuals, as a hacking community, as leaders. We're so overwhelmed with all this noise. Right?
Yeah, right. So true. Very well put.
If you're cool that we're going to see Epic this week.
Yeah, that was epic. But yeah, Scott was epic.
I feel like that. Scott, I dare say I want to turn you loose, but that's kind of always the point. When you come into this week, and obviously, you've shared your thoughts on this stuff, and people tend to think that the space you occupy is a ones and zeros thing, and it's obviously not. There's an incredible, there's an emotional attachment to this. There's a personality attachment to this. There's a human thing that we don't often get associated with how important it is of what we do. You've been doing summer camp for 20 plus years. We wanted to talk about the music. We don't have time, unfortunately, but as you come back to this after having to take a couple of years off, what's the value now? Now, it's not just coming back to sell. Obviously, Eclypsium's doing cool stuff. You're doing cool stuff. But when you come back to the grossest place in North America at the grossest time of the year, and all you can think of is, I cannot wait to go get sweaty with these dirty, hairy people wearing Crocs and, cargo shorts. And it's like, yeah, I can't wait. Like, how much of this is part of your DNA for who you are and what you do?
And by the way, Vegas is not the grossest place. I think Reno would probably take that, but go ahead.
I mean, I'm standing in my music studio that's being remodeled. I'm like looking at all the tech and all the art and whatever. And it's all hacking, dude. Like everything I've ever done in music, trying to make techno, I reverse engineered what techno was. I hacked it. And, actually it's, I used to actually hack, like, be the guy with actually like the whole system and all the blades spun up and hacking the planet through the late 90s and early 2000s. But when I discovered music, it changed where I spend most of my time hacking, because music is like a worm. Like it's the ultimate hack. The sound itself is something that will never be fully hacked. Like you can analyze, you can throw math on it, you can understand it from all sorts of academia reasons, but there are certain elements of sound and how they affect us as humans and societies that you cannot hope to ever understand, and you almost don't want to, but you keep striving to. It's this wormhole that you go down forever, and I've kind of committed myself to that. You know, my daughter's we sing. She wrote her own song the other day. I mean, I'm almost like lost it. It was so beautiful. She's 7. You know,
That's
like,
awesome.
That's hacking. You know, you want to talk about life hacking, do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
PM73 Media needs bumper music. So yeah, we can definitely have that conversation.
Bring it.
You want a jingle? She can do a jingle, dude. I will do a jingle for you. And she's got an incredible voice. She takes singing lessons all the time. Like she sung at the Belly up. That's San Diego. She sang at the Do-Si Do in Houston, which is a pretty badass cowboy bar.
Daughter of Shaggy is always going to be on the list of the first person I will listen to. So yes, please, let's make that happen. Hey, man, I hate to do this. We got 4 minutes left, and I need to give you this chance. Shameless plugs. People looking for you. You are incredibly prolific in writing, in appearances, all kinds of different things. If people want to find out more about what you're doing, what Eclypsium's up to, all of that stuff, go.
All right. First things first. We had that topic, Matt, where we said, like, how does somebody new come to the show? Like, and Edward, like, how do you find somebody new and ask questions? I'm going to give you a name, Pacific Coast Hackers. Pacific Coast Hackers. You don't have to be on the West Coast. If you're not, they'll find somebody on the East Coast for you or whatever, Midwest. But this is a great group of folks that are helping all the way down to like students that are young, that they tour through DEF CON and they go into like a suite at in a hotel. And they're like at Eclypsium last year, we were soldering onto like cup holders that you can turn into hacking tools, like with the SBOM and everything else, right? The bill of materials. Nice. And like there's so many cool things you can do. So if you have any questions about like, where do I get started? Who should I talk to? Find me. For Black Hat, I'll be at the Eclypsium booth most of the time on the floor. And I'll be in and around the briefings area. And then for DEF CON, I'll just be every freaking where. But you can, well, I would mention some of the parties I'm going to.
Well, yeah, Chef, is Eclypsium having an event that you want to plug? And this would be a good spot for it if you guys are doing
we do. Just go to the website and under events, and you'll see we have 2 -5, which is our old Almanon. That's where we used to go at Silence all the time too, right? And of course, Jennifer Winters now works at Eclypsium. You guys will recognize her from Silence.
I'll see you Tuesday night. Tuesday night. That's awesome.
So we have -5, and also what is it? Is it like called Prohibition or the whiskey bar right there?
73.
Yes, thank you. That's what it is. And so we'll be at both of those venues simultaneously, having an incredibly awesome party. There's some other things we're doing as well, but it's all on the events on Eclypsium.com. Eclypsium is ECLYPSIUM, right? ECLY.
Stop to remember how it's spelled. Yeah, it's difficult.
I'll see you in the ice bar.
Yeah, dude, the ice bar is where it's at. So we'll
what
chill.
about you? Stop being so selfless. Where can they find you?
Yes.
I don't know. I'll be at both of those places. I mean,
-5. A larger like
LinkedIn.
Sense.
I'll hit the pool party. I will definitely be hitting anytime I can catch Jackalope spinning. I will be there. I don't care what anybody else says or they're doing. There's a cool LinkedIn rooftop party. I can't.
What's your LinkedIn handle?
Yeah,
people want to go find you on the net.
Yeah, connect me on LinkedIn. It's just linkedin.com and then like / Scott Scheferman.
All right, that's what he is. He's just trying to like.
Chef. What is that speaker called right there? What is that speaker?
Oh, the one you're looking at. So I have one of those right over there. It's Thomas Barefoot is this guy out of Berkeley. He produces the absolute best. I don't care what anybody says. Studio mastering monitors, and they're called Barefoots. Those are the MM27s. I've got the FS1s. They're awesome. And then the smaller ones underneath there with the black with the white cone, the white speaker cone. Those are Yamaha NS10s, and they're awesome because they let you know what your music sounds like on an average speaker. And that's why you see those cheap-ass speakers in mastering studios for the last 35 years.
All right, enough!
You are epic.
This went too long. EP, you've got 30 seconds. People looking for you. Where can they find you?
Epic starts with EP. Scheferman, you are epic. Thanks for coming on the show with us today. But yes, Epic starts with EP. Everything social. That's where you'll find me.
All right, we're running long, but I got to give a shout out to my man Oh My, who's going to be playing Thursday night at the DEF CON A&E Presents August 11th. He's playing at 7 o'clock. It is going to be incredible. You can find them at DEFCON_music on Instagram and defconmusic.org on the internet. Man, we didn't touch on anything we had actually written down to talk about. You know why? Because we talked about things that were way cooler than that. That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in on PM73 Media. You know what? This may be it. I don't know how we can get any cooler than this. So you may not ever see us again. We may just go to Vegas and die because this was the best. But until then, make sure that you check us out. You can find us at PM73 Media on Twitter as well as LinkedIn. We got podcasts. We got Twitter. I hate Instagram, but it's there. He does dances on TikTok. Make sure you find him at Epic Starts with EP. My name is Matt Stevenson. You can find me at PacMatt73 across all the things.
See you boys in the desert.
Yeah, I'm going to go cry afterwards. I try not to cry on air, but I might because we bring people who bring the truth. Scott, I can't even, man. We got so much more cool shit to talk about. We barely scratched the surface of the surface we wanted to scratch.
Hey, but now we're warmed up, so let's do the next show. I'm ready.
Yeah. Okay, now that we're loose, now we can finally do it. All right. For those that we will not see in Vegas, although EP and I are going to be bringing you multiple shows next week, not quite like this, but we will see you in 2 weeks.